Hello, my name is Price Lasan Worrell with Middle-Aged Medievalist. I thought it would be helpful to give a little explanation about the Germanic Linguistics Consolidation project. First, however, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am currently a PhD candidate at the University of South Carolina and am completing my dissertation. That's right, I'm almost done. My interest in medieval Germanic languages started with Old English. One thing I found frustrating when learning Old English is that there was not one place I could go to find everything I wanted when doing my own translations during my undergraduate and in my thesis for my master's degree at Idaho State University. I asked myself, why is this stuff not all in one place? So I made a little note of that and said, one day maybe I'll create a website that'll include that stuff. And then it left my mind. I went off for my PhD and had to learn a whole bunch of new Germanic languages, such as Old Norse, Old High German, Gothic, a whole slew of them. And that frustration arose again. I thought back on learning Old English and said, Price, you know that thing you said you were going to do a while ago? You have to collect this data anyway for your dissertation. Why don't you just make it available to everyone? I also realized that I was likely not the only person who's been frustrated by this. And so the concept of Middle-Aged Medievalist was born as a way to share information related to the Germanic languages, as well as the history, culture, and literature of the people who spoke those languages, because after all, they are all intertwined. While Middle-Aged Medievalist is a place to share all these resources, it is now embarked on this new project. The primary goal for the GCLP, which is short for Germanic Linguistics Consolidation Project, is to bring all linguistic information regarding the Germanic languages into one place, in one format, and make it available to anyone who wants to research the Germanic languages, and for anyone who is simply curious about these languages. For example, there are authors, not scholars, who enjoy translating their dialogue into one of these Germanic languages and then putting it in whatever media they're doing. The first example that comes to mind for me was the very popular TV series Vikings, where we actually heard Old Norse and Old English. Also, new students to these languages are often frustrated by the inability to locate a complete lexicons of the language, or, when they do, they are in a language that isn't native to the students. I found this for myself when learning Old High German. The texts we had, everything was in German, and my German was fair, but I did not have the technical proficiency in German, know any of the jargon, so I was constantly looking up words in my German dictionary and then translating them to English. Let me give you some details about the project. This is a project that will bring together all the available resources that exist for Germanic languages. What makes this project unique is that it relies on only scholarly or academic materials, meaning they're all well researched by experts in the field. And the second thing, all this information will be in one place. This is not to say that this information is for scholars only. Middle-Aged Medievalists' primary goal is to make the medieval period accessible for everyone. So, let me tell you a little bit how the project works. And if you find this stuff boring, go ahead and skip to the end. But some of you may be interested in the details. The first thing I do is collect all the data that is available from all the scholarly resources. These primary sources include existing lexicons, handbooks, guides, hard copy dictionaries, scholarly articles. And I look at each of these and I compare them with the other, and then I enter them into a spreadsheet, Microsoft Excel in this case. And the data I've selected, because it's particularly related to the languages, are the lemma itself, or the word that was used, the part of speech, the class, the declination in the case of nouns, the conjugation in the case of verbs, meanings in German and English, and also a Latin gloss if it is attested in the original manuscripts. I also included a column that showed the sources I consulted when there were inconsistencies in the primary sources. I also include notes for lemma that were interesting, such as their etymology or maybe a little bit puzzling. The main reason I chose to include all of this information is so that the end user can use the data based on their own project, whether it be learning the language, creating new scholarship, translating, or anything else. Also, the Germanic languages are, for many of us, very difficult at first, so information such as the part of speech, conjugation, or declension can ease learning of the language, and also helps a lot with translation. Here, I should provide a little information about quality assurance. Anytime I reach an amount of 250 lemmata that I have compared, I verify the accuracy of all the data pertaining to those lemmata. Whenever new data is added from another source, I again QA the data. And once the data set is complete, I verify the data once more before converting it to a non-proprietary type, such as comma-separated value or text. Finally, I post it to the repository itself, which in this case is the Open Science Framework. In addition to the data itself, I also include documentation which explains the data set and includes all references and abbreviations. Open data and open research, a primary goal for Middle-Aged Medievalist. As I've said several times, I want this information to be there for everyone. If you have any questions about the project or about Middle-Aged Medievalist, check out the website at middleagedmedievalist.org or contact me at price@middleagedmedievalist.org. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and the links to those are below in the comics. God hallo!